Hello and welcome to Saturday Morning Cartoons, the weekly podcast that revisits, reviews, and ridicules some of the world's weirdest animated series. I'll be your host, Commissioner Dave Trumbore. Joining me as always, my co-host, Sean Grand Slam Ellis. How are you tonight, sir?
David. I'm doing well. How about yourself, buddy?
I'm doing pretty good, especially because we got some very special guests in the room tonight. Also
We
joining
do.
us, it's our Pro Bros. First up, we've got Matt Hat Trick Baron. What's new, buddy? It's been a while.
That's pretty generous, but you know what? I'm gonna go with it.
Well, hat rhyme with Matt. That's the best I got for you.
All right, I'll take it.
And that chuckle in the background, our very special guest, the one and only Tony Slapshot Lazzaroni.
Ooh,
Welcome back, sir.
Slapshot.
Yeah, you get
That's
Slapshot.
that's gonna be a good fit because I have something Slapshot related to bring up later.
Oh,
so.
excellent. I was hoping that would come into conversation at some point.
Yep.
Whew, if you could tell by that sports-themed introduction, not only is this kicking off our sports month, which is, I don't know if it's a good idea yet or not, but hey, we're already in it. We're going to be talking ProStars tonight. ProStars. I lay this one squarely on Sean's shoulders, just going forward. We have
Is
watched...
it on a scale from
Oh, you
one
and your damn scales.
on a scale from 1 to driving?
Into a wall
12
at 60 miles an hour?
Sure.
Well,
A scale from 1 to
I was going full off the cliff, but
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
on a scale from 1 to Thelma and Louising, where did you rate regarding ProStars, Dave?
See, I would say that Thelma and Louise actually looked like they were having some fun, so I'll have to go 1. Have to go the opposite direction.
Oh.
Okay.
I had a really tough time just even just focusing on what I was watching and what was happening. I had a really tough time with this one. How about you guys? Sean, this is your pick, so just general reaction.
Defend yourself.
Yeah, really. Defend your choices.
Like, I'm really on the hot seat for this one.
Uh-huh.
I remember watching this show
Okay.
when it aired, and that's it. I don't have any specific details about
Right.
it, but I definitely knew from talking to people about cartoons, and this was one of those shows that always came up as
Yeah.
something that people had said, have you guys... Nobody remembered the name.
Right.
That's my favorite part. They were like, what's that show? It had Gretzky and I think Bo Jackson and maybe Michael Jordan.
Yeah, and when
I was
you
like,
say Michael Jordan,
ProStars.
people are like, Space Jam? And you're like, no, not the
No,
movie.
no.
It's definitely
Yeah.
a cartoon show. Yeah.
Exactly. And so I remember this show, but I remembered almost zero details about it. And Dave, I will concur with you. There were moments of this where I would lose focus. I want to say from the 3 episodes that we watched, I blanked out for about an hour.
Yeah, out of the...
And
out of
the
like the hour
combined
and 5 minute
66
total.
minutes, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know if it was the Queen ripoff in the beginning.
Oh, I cannot wait to get to this intro theme song. We haven't had a good intro theme song discussion for a while.
Well, this was
so
not
this
a
one,
good. This was
oh,
not. We'll have a good discussion.
It's
This
a
was
good
not
discussion. Terrible
Not a good
intro.
theme song.
Oh man, Tony, what about your reactions? Did you watch this one growing up?
Yeah. No, I remember watching this one growing up. It's I guess I must have just bought into it as a little kid back then, as far as like, oh yeah, this is acceptable, because now it's not so much. No, it did not really register that this was the same show that I remember watching when I was a kid, but yeah, we'll get into it.
Oh, will we? We certainly will. Yeah, this one, like you said, I kind of remembered it existing. But Matt, did you happen to watch this one? Do you remember anything about it before we watched it here?
I have never seen this show before. I
Okay,
do
sorry.
remember it existing, just like due to the same thing you mentioned that Sean about the talking about it. Have you seen the? But thankfully, I steered clear of this one.
Yeah, until today.
Yeah,
Until today.
my
In which
time
case
has
you
come.
careened at 60 miles per hour
Yeah,
into a wall.
It would have been a much more pleasant experience. Well, Matt, since you got the horn, do you want to take us through a little bit of the history of the show?
Yeah, so ProStars was a Saturday morning cartoon produced by the Deeks over at Deke
Mhm.
that aired on NBC from September to December of 1991, totaling 13 episodes.
Yeah, short and sweet. That's how I like it. And that's probably why we really don't remember this one existing all that much. It was just once a week, Saturday morning, and then it didn't even make it into syndication. So,
Yeah.
At least there's some good news here.
I mean, for this show,
Yep.
really, 7 seasons in a movie.
They just got there.
Hashtag 7 seasons in a movie.
You're gonna
for
one up
ProStars.
Community.
Yeah, exactly.
Community is amazing. 6 seasons in a movie for them, but no, this one needs a 7th.
Yeah, we
season.
gotta have that 7th season just to get all the story in.
Yeah.
I would actually love if we just had the first season of ProStars and then a 7th season of ProStars. We missed 2 through 6.
The lost seasons.
But it picked up and they were just older men.
Yeah, 7 years later.
Yeah.
Reminiscing about the show.
They just have
and
no cartilage in their knees anymore. They're all just melted.
They got to
away
have like
frames.
cortisone shots before
Yeah,
every
exactly.
mission.
Yep.
They're all just shell shocked and they've just got like early onset dementia.
Oh.
Some too many concussions. Oh
God.
man. I thought you were going
What?
to say it would jump from 1 to 7 because years 2 through 6 were during the strikes.
Oh.
Yeah.
I don't know what the strikes are.
Well, surprisingly, they did not incorporate any actual sports anything into these shows. There was not even like a little bit of like, here's how you play sports, or here are the rules and regulations, or anything even related to it. And I'm getting ahead of myself, but Sean, you had the mic this time, so why don't you let the folks know what it's about, other than kind of what we've been rambling about so far.
So this show was originally intended to air on ESPN.
That blew my mind.
I know, right?
Because if we're not making that up, that's legit.
Yeah, this is serious.
Oh, this is. Let's remember this is ESPN's early years.
Yes.
Back before they had it figured out.
Before they had anything locked down. Stuart
Oh.
Scott was like, yeah, this is a great idea.
Oh, rest in peace.
Rest in peace.
Too soon.
So the show centered around Michael Jordan,
Mhm.
Bo Jackson, and Wayne Gretzky fighting crime and helping children,
As you do.
often protecting the environment as well. So this was like a weird mashup of Captain Planet,
Yeah.
cops,
And G.I. Joe
and
PSAs.
Yes.
Yeah.
These 3 athletes were chosen to represent the pinnacle of all 4 major American professional sports in the early 1990s. Jackson, of course, his career spanned across football and baseball.
Yeah, I noticed they did not let Jordan play on the baseball side of things for this.
And also,
for
I
this
find
show.
it interesting that they would use a Canadian to represent American football. But
Yeah, I love that, especially since the first episode they are at like the American Sports Museum in, who knows where, but yeah, I don't think they should have let
And it's-
Gretzky in there.
Oddly enough, American sports museums in Canada.
Yeah, go figure. North American Sports Museum. There it is. We figured it out. Now we got it. I love the idea of it. Obviously, they wanted to capitalize on the marketability of these guys, especially Michael Jordan. I find it interesting that the one who's probably most recognizable is the one who's least involved with this show, and then the one who's maybe not quite as marketable as the others. I don't know. I can't remember what it was like in '91. How Bo Jackson's stardom was compared to the other two, but Bo actually seemed to really be into it. He seemed to be like having fun. Yeah.
I want to actually say that during this period of time, Bo's marketability was really on point with Jordan's.
Yeah, he was. I mean, there was the whole Bo Knows campaign,
Right.
which was, I mean, just as big as Jumpman was for Nike at the time. So, he was pretty public, and he was also much more vocal than the others. I mean, Michael Jordan was always very soft spoken. Wayne Gretzky
Right.
was always very soft spoken, kind of deferring to their teammates and that sort of thing. Bo got out and said, "I am great."
Yeah. And he owned
you
it
will
too.
hear me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny though. I have I don't know. Do you guys have any particular memories of these three athletes? Sean, I know you're kind of sports averse, so if you don't have any, that's fine.
It's not that I'm sports averse.
Mhm.
I played. Well, I guess this is the interesting portion of this show, and I want to break it apart into the 2 pieces. So there is a live action portion of this
Yes, and it
as
is
well as also
glorious.
yes, as well as the animated portion.
Right.
And so looking back on this during the live action portion, they have some younger kids who are posing questions to Wayne Gretzky and Bo Jackson. And it's very funny because I mean during the time that this would have aired, I probably would have been I probably would have been playing t-ball, not t-ball, but I played like soft pitch,
Yeah, like Little League.
or like slow pitch.
Yeah.
Like I played Little League, and I played soccer for a couple years, and I just didn't enjoy any of it. And it was like I was never pushed to play football, and which was great because I mean it's just something that I wasn't really interested in, and so I kind of hung up my shin guards and put down my Jose Canseco bat. And wait, Tony's laughing, but it's
was it corked?
it's outside. It's outside my garage.
Is it still corked?
It was never corked. It was never.
It was never corked. Okay, all right. So no asterisk next to your record. That's good to know.
Right. So I kind of put all that stuff aside, and I was not interested in playing sports. There's nothing wrong with sports, and on occasion I will definitely get together and hang out and watch a game. Recently went to a Nats game. A ton of fun. You know, I really dig it. It's a blast. I like professional sports. I'm just not somebody who follows professional sports, who seeks out professional sports, who knows anything about professional sports. And so this show, I think the bond that I had with it was that it was three very well-known athletes.
Right.
And it appealed to me in that sense that I knew who they were. I knew what they were talking about, but the show is really not about sports at all. It's like when I watch the league.
Even a little bit.
It's like when I watch the league. It's not about football.
Right.
It's about the relationships between all those guys. And so this was,
This was not that. But to your point, yeah, it wasn't about the sports. Yeah.
I'm not trying to draw the analogy.
No,
that
please don't.
ProStars is like the league
animated the league. Yeah.
in any way, shape, or form, but
because one's good and the other is ProStar.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm just not. I don't know or really pay attention to sports. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
Leave it at that.
For me, it wasn't like, I was about 8 when this came out, probably. So I was always the spectator. I played other different kinds of sports, more like individual stuff, not a lot of team sports. But yeah, I don't know. I knew who the people were. I don't really remember this cartoon. I do remember just 2 quick things. I had some just random ass video games that one was Wayne Gretzky's 3D hockey.
I had that one.
You
too.
had that one for the
Nintendo
N64?
N64.
And I don't
Yeah,
don't remember if I told this story before or not, but real briefly, it was Christmas. The 64 was just coming out. I knew I was getting the system. Like I think I had already opened the system up. So when I went to go open my first game, I'd been playing Super Mario 64 at the store like every fucking day. Every time we went to the mall, I'd be playing the demo. And I saw this little, game-sized present to open up, and I tore it open expecting Super Mario, and it's fucking Wayne Gretzky's 3D hockey. And I had never shown any interest in hockey. I used to watch it with my neighbor every once in a while, but I'd never want to play. I never talked about the players. I never wanted a jersey. Where the hell did Wayne Gretzky's 3D hockey come from? I have no fucking clue. And then another one I got, which I neither played baseball nor football, but somehow I ended up with a Game Boy game, which was Bo Jackson's football and baseball. They had both.
Oh.
Yeah, they had both games on the same cartridge because it was terrible. It was just a bunch of white pixels against a bunch of black pixels running around.
Oh, that
And
sounds
racist.
awful.
It was pretty bad. Super racist. Yeah. Bo Jackson was always the black pixel guy. Yeah. Ooh.
Oh.
It was rough. It was rough.
Audible groan in your direction.
Yeah, we queued that one up. So that's it for me. That's the only connections I had to these guys. Super distant. Did you guys, before we dive into this intro and theme song, Tony and Matt, did you guys have any kind of memories related to the athletes whatsoever?
I do because I'm 6'6", not the smallest guy in the world, so
You played tennis.
wound up playing. Yeah, of course, tennis.
Right.
I actually did play tennis for a short while.
Did you? Okay.
No, I've probably run the gamut, played just about every sport except for hockey. But I also grew up in Minnesota, so pretty well inundated with hockey all around.
Right.
So, but no, at the time when this came out, I was playing basketball, baseball, and football, and then possibly even doing some tennis and maybe soccer at that point in time too. It was a little bit of everything.
So you're saying you're a pro star?
I am.
Oh.
I am better than Bo Jackson. Let's just be honest.
Whoa. A bold claim coming out of the gates.
So
Tony
Bo
Leslie.
knows it. Bo knows it, but I create it. Let's just
Let's put
Tony
that
makes
to the
it.
test.
Let's go with it. No. So no, I do remember all 3 of these guys. Relatively vividly. more so for baseball for Bo Jackson than from football.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I was a dumb little kid. I could not get the rules of football down for a long time, even when I was playing it. And so I just knew you run out and hit somebody.
Yeah.
And so, the guy carrying the ball, I was like, what's he doing? That didn't really.
It was a rough
register for me,
transition
but
for you going to offense, I would imagine.
it was, yeah. But no, I got basketball. I got Michael Jordan. This was right around the beginning of his streak of NBA championships with the Bulls. I remember Gretzky just being all over everything related to, because at that point in time the NHL was still very much up and coming, and they honestly kind of still are to a certain extent, but they have a tendency to really push their biggest stars out there as much as possible, and at the time there was nobody in that league bigger than Wayne Gretzky.
Yeah, exactly.
So he was the face of the NHL as far as they were concerned. And then Bo Jackson's kind of the somewhat of the afterthought between these, because he wasn't the biggest baseball player, he wasn't the biggest name for football.
Right.
He was somewhat, but the fact that he covered two sports,
that
was the thing
cool
that
enough.
made him interesting and unique and powerful in there. And he did relatively well in both sports.
Yeah.
He wasn't necessarily a pro star and everything, but yeah, he was legitimate at least.
Yeah, good enough to have a Game Boy game named after you at least, and a terrible cartoon show.
Yep.
Matt, did you have anything from these guys growing up?
Only really the marketing campaigns, and
Yeah, right.
And I'm sure there are many directors of marketing out there who are very proud of that fact. But I really was not into like pro sports as a kid at all, and I played soccer and baseball as a kid, so really the only things I remember were just Michael Jordan being absolutely huge. Like, even if you hated the Bulls, you had like kind of in the closet liked Michael Jordan, but
he was everywhere.
It was probably just the most marketable sports guy in the history of sports. But Bo Jackson, that's the very the 90s, like, this is something Bo knows, or I just there's like a live action Ninja Turtles thing I saw on TV where they said that, and like that's how popular it was. So
that it crossed into TMNT.
Yeah,
that's right.
cross genre.
It went from
that's
pro
a
sports
measure
to
of
someone
success
who
right
will
there.
never touch a boob. So
I'm very surprised that Michael Bay allowed that in the movie.
yeah, so
Bo knows.
it was
paid for by the committee to not support Michael Bay.
Just not really being into like football as a kid. Bo Jackson was kind of lost on me, and I think I'd seen one professional baseball game before I was like 16. So
Really? Okay.
yeah, and I just really still don't give a crap about basketball, and the finals are going on less than 10 miles from my house.
Yeah,
right
exactly.
now, so
I was gonna say you're kind of in the neighborhood.
that'll be so that ought to cap it up for you nicely.
Gotcha. Well, it's interesting you guys bring up the marketing, because as we get into the intro and theme of this show, it's basically just, it plays like their greatest hits. It's just the clips that you've seen over and over and over again. Jordan posterizing somebody, Gretzky deking somebody out and making a ridiculous shot, or Jackson just like running through a line and scoring a touchdown. And they cut these clips in over and over, but they edit it in with just random snippets from the actual animated version of it too. And this thing, it feels like it goes on for fucking ever. Go ahead,
Dave, I want to bring up, because right now you're touching on a point that I want to cover, which is you called me Slapshot when we started this.
Here we go.
And they, in the theme song, they actually reference Slapshot when they show Gretzky making that goal, except that's not a slap shot. He just does this little backhand dip it, like
it's not even like a wrister or anything. It's just like
no.
And
It's
also,
not a
Michael
shot.
Jordan's shot was not a jamming, as the song said just 2
It
seconds
was a layup,
before that
yeah.
shot. Yeah,
It was a layup.
Look, the cohesive structure of this show is loose at best. The editing is so bad. This song, I don't know if they like modulated it in a weird way or just everybody was tone deaf, but it just sounds like a bunch of people who have never sung a song in their lives. They just
We're talking about the theme song, correct?
Yes, and get into it, buddy, because I know you've been
So
waiting.
yes, the entire theme song sounded like when they would. There were moments in the theme song where they would just say, the word ProStars.
Yes.
But they would say it in a way that sounded as if they were yawning.
Mm-hmm.
They would just go, ProStars. ProStars.
It was like they recorded it at a normal speed and then just slowed it down for no reason.
I'm having a hard time not yawning after
I'm
saying
yawning
that.
as you're saying it.
Are you
Yes,
really?
I'm actually yawning.
I had to mute the mic as well.
Oh my god.
Well, and there were two versions of this theme
Right.
too.
Yeah, I think we heard them
Yeah.
both. Yeah.
Yeah, there was the one that really is it's "We Will Rock You" from Queen,
Right.
Right.
just redone with their which between the two is the far more acceptable
Yes.
one, and then the other one that is the odd approximation of a Queen type, like "We Will Rock You" type song, where the vocal key and the music key don't match up,
Yep.
and
No.
the beat pattern is just kind
It's
of
all
like
over the place.
it's that kid who's messing around in GarageBand
Right.
for the first time and says, "Oh, I can just take this conga beat and put it with death metal guitars,
Yeah.
and it will still somehow work." It's awful, and the structure to it, that there's kind of like verse, chorus, quarter verse, chorus,
Yeah.
bridge, chorus. Like, this one I watched it the first time. I fast forwarded it through the second time,
Yeah.
and I was about to fast forward through the third episode, except that then I recognized that one was actually what I expected the first two to be,
Right.
which is the "We Will Rock You," which was fine.
I mean, it's
I'm
okay.
fine.
It's like if you got an entire crowd of people in a bar that have just been hammering away at drinks for hours, watching
Yeah.
some sort of sporting event, and then put, Queen's "We Will Rock You" on, but everybody's just kind of slurring their words. That's what it would
Stomp,
kind of
stomp,
sound
clap,
like.
stomp, stomp, clap.
Yeah, that's what it would kind of sound like. Just
I'm
complete
upset.
cacophony. Yeah.
I am upset that they thought that they could rip off Queen.
Right.
Queen,
With this level.
Queen is amazing.
Yes. They didn't even try.
I want to go on record saying that Queen is one of my favorite bands, and having to suffer through this tragedy.
I would rather listen to the Brave Star. I was singing Brave Star when they would say Pro Star, just to make it somewhat better.
I would have rather have a bullet graze my arm.
I would take it. I would take it to the skull at that point.
Yeah, I was
Really?
going. I was
Yes.
going
Wow.
full Silverhawk on
Oh God.
episode 2. So
Dave, you do realize there's a pause button on YouTube, right?
I struggle through this. I really do. I wanna have a full experience for our listeners out there, just so they know the pain.
For anybody who is not familiar with the show, we typically will watch the first 3 episodes. And these episodes they clocked in around 22 to 23 minutes in length. For Dave to watch that hour plus, it takes him the course of 4 days.
It took a long
'Cause
time.
It's
this
a lot
week.
of pause, head shake,
Get myself together.
pause,
Face palm.
screaming at the moon,
deep breath, hold breath,
Oh.
click play.
throwing a chair against the wall, going to IKEA, buying a new chair.
Man, my place is an absolute mess. Ever since the show started. But we do it all for you, dear listeners. We go
It's
through the pain just for
year's
you.
worth of destroyed furniture and Dave's mental anguish.
Yeah.
IKEA stays in business because
Just based off of me.
Dave Krumbor's famous anger
Mhm.
at terrible cartoon.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we are 52 episodes in. Is now a good time to tell you that this has all been like an elaborate prank to see how far we can push
No,
you?
that's fine. I'm like addicted to it now. I can't stop if I wanted to.
Yeah.
Neither IKEA nor SMC, so we're stuck. Sean, do you have anything else from the intro theme song before we jumped into some of these other characters here?
Now let's get into these characters.
Okay, I know Tony actually did some research for us, and he found some of the voice actors. He found some interesting tidbits about the voice actors. So.
Yeah. So the funny thing is that all 3 of them you would probably recognize if you heard the voices. And I figured out at least 2 of them why I specifically recognize them. I'll bring those up in a second.
Okay.
But the one that I thought was most recognizable is the one who has the least specific titles in their past, and that's Dorian Harewood that does Michael Jordan in the actual show.
Okay.
So none of the actual sports players are their own voices. They hire actual voice actors to do this. And if you watch the intro pieces
Yep.
and listen to Wayne Gretzky,
Oh my
you'll
God.
know immediately why they went with somebody completely different. I think Bo Jackson probably could have done his
Yeah,
own.
I think it'd have been fine.
But the other 2, yeah, they lack any kind of
charisma,
flair, yeah,
energy,
charisma.
interest.
We should mention in these first 3 episodes that Michael Jordan is non-existent.
Nope,
Right.
never see him.
I believe he did 1 or 2
He
episodes.
did a couple of them, yeah.
And his lines or his response to questions was really just a 1 to 2 sentence, and that was he did not want to be there.
Yeah.
And Gretzky just sounds like he's talking with marbles in his mouth.
Yeah, and you could just tell he's bored, and he's like, "Oh, these stupid fucking kids." But Bo actually like got into it, so I respect that. He was having fun with it. Yeah.
So about the other two then. So Wayne Gretzky is voiced by Townsend Coleman, who you guys would better know under 2 characters that he's voiced. One who really is, I think, the complete clone of Wayne Gretzky in this show. That's Michelangelo from the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
What? Okay, I
Yeah.
could kind of see that. I could see
It's
that.
the same voice actor, and so if you really look at, and it's a great approximation because you get to watch the show and see an interview with the actual Wayne Gretzky, and then this this
man.
humanized version of Michelangelo that they put on there to be quote unquote Wayne Gretzky ProStar, and just put the two side by side. He also went on after this to be the voice of the Tick on the animated series.
Interesting.
Oh.
All right.
So he's got a couple big credits in his name there. And then the last one, Bo Jackson, was voiced by Dave Fennoy. And you may have heard his voice. He's been in a number of different things, smaller roles. There is one big place where I can guarantee almost everybody, and even most of these listeners, have heard him. He is the voice that tells you about the credits you're about to watch on Hulu every time you go to watch an episode of Hulu.
Holy shit! That's
Yeah.
Bo Jackson every time.
That's Bo Jackson from the
Wow.
show that going through and doing that.
My life has been forever changed.
So all of these, all these 3 main guys, there are significant credits. The voice of Mom is done by Susan Silo. Who
And we need to get more into these kind of side characters here, though. Too.
Yeah,
Do you have more for the voice actors?
Well, she's got a long history. There's a lot of smaller credits under her name.
Okay.
Denise did next to nothing. Like this was, I think, really her only foray into animation.
You mean in the show?
And
She
the actual,
she did next to nothing in this fucking show.
Yeah.
Really everywhere. Diana Barrows. This was like her only foray.
She owed somebody a favor, I think, for this one.
And then there's a few other voice actors that come up. Rob Paulson, and
Charlie Adler is all in there too.
Yep, and Marv Albert actually shows
wow.
up in one of the episodes that we watched. That was actually Marv Albert doing his own voice.
Interesting.
But apparently none of the athletes can do their own.
No, and like you said, though, I think Bo maybe would have been the only one that would have been halfway decent at it. I mean, Jordan barely showed up. Gretzky could not give a shit.
Well, and those intro videos, the hysterical thing for me was watching how truthful Wayne Gretzky was with the questions. They would ask him, like, what was it? Did you ever quit a sport?
That was my favorite question.
It was like there was a lot of politics. I'm like,
well, it's because it's like a 5-year-old kid asking, "Did you ever quit, Wayne Gretzky?" And Wayne's like, "Well, actually, there was a time where I considered, hanging up the skates. There were a lot of internal and external politics and a lot of factors that were involved. There were some people who were saying I should be doing something, and I didn't feel like those people were the right ones to be making decisions." I'm like,
this is a
the
kid's
politics?
cartoon.
Talking
Yeah,
to a 5-year-old
he said the
kid.
word politics.
He said politics. This kid's just like the kid's just
5-year-old
eating an ice cream. He doesn't give a shit.
Yeah, a 5-year-old kid asks a first grade level question, and he gives like a college level answer to that kid.
That was a perfect response. We have no rebuttal. Yeah.
And it's just such a flat and it's par for the course. It's like he's reading a script, and it's not even a great script that he's working from in that. Versus Bo Jackson actually feels like he's being a personality on there.
Well, they have they introduce the 2 guys, and they go through the whole intro that we've already talked about, and then they do this secondary intro where they're like Bo Jackson, and they show kind of like Bo's face, almost like he would be on a baseball card kind of thing, and he's like, he's like, "Hey kids," or "It's game time," or he says something with some energy, and then they're like Wayne Gretzky, and he just kind of like stares at the camera for a second, and just kind of gives a half wave, and he's just like, "Hey."
Yeah, or
And
like
then they don't
Chuck
even fucking
Norris
introduce
thumbs up.
Jordan because he's never there. Yeah.
Hey, Wayne Gretzky.
Hey, Wayne Gretzky.
Do you have any
Do you
pets?
have any pets? These kids.
Says the little kid with the baseball hat that's like 15 sizes too large for their tiny little head.
I love Wayne Gretzky's response.
Yeah.
It's like, "Wayne Gretzky, do you have a cat?" And he just goes, "Or do you have a
Do you have
pet?"
any pets?
Yeah, I do.
I just ruined it.
No, you're good.
Because do you have a pet? And Wayne Gretzky just goes, "Yeah, I've got a cat."
I got a cat named Tootsie or whatever it was.
And I think it was Toto.
Toto.
It was
I got
Toto.
a cat named
Toto.
Toto. Next
Cat
question.
Yeah,
like he's
Toto.
on a
Cat-
like he's at a fucking
cat-
like public relations thing where he's just been fielding questions all day.
He's almost as if he's he's a movie star, like he's been at a press junket
Exactly.
all day.
Like he's
and
just like, can
exhausted.
we please get an original question from these kids?
He's probably been in the studio for 10 fucking minutes.
If
And he is
that.
over it.
He's
Entirely
done.
over it.
He's like, oh, you guys are gonna put these camera. Oh,
Dude, the funniest thing
alright.
is that they cut
Guess
these
so.
together like the guys are in the same studio next to each other.
Yeah.
You never see them actually physically next to each other. They've always got them cut and kind of like highlighted off in their separate little windows. But they look at each other across this void like they're actually talking to each other, but they're
Well, let
never
me-
in the same room. Yeah.
Dave, let me ask the question.
Shoot.
Do you think that there's a reason behind that? Do you think that Bo Jackson was like, I'll do the show, but I will never be in the same fucking room as Wayne
I think you're
Gretzky?"
overthinking it. I think it's logistics because these weren't even in like a studio. It was just like a blacked out room somewhere. It was a hotel room with drawn curtains.
I had written an entire backstory about what I wanted the feud to be between
Well,
those two.
you can do some fanfic. ProStars fanfic. We'll put it up on the site.
Okay.
All right, we're about halfway through our hour here, so I want to jump into the actual cartoon itself. We're talking characters now, so I do want to mention that the characters in the show don't necessarily reflect the men outside the show in real life. For example,
What? Really?
Yeah, I know. Go figure. For example, so Michael Jordan is the de facto leader of this group. They make him apparently super smart and really into math and science, and
Did
he
they?
can. Well,
Did they make him
that's
super smart?
that's the log line for him. That's his character description.
Debatable.
Very debatable.
Who's the from Futurama
Oh.
when they had the Harlem Globetrotters on there?
Oh yeah.
He really looked like
Meadowlark
he could have fit in with the Harlem Globetrotters in Futurama, where they're all like super smart scientists that also play basketball.
Right.
Oh my god, I had so many issues with his like scientific jargon that he just I got to a point where I stopped writing these quotes down because they were all so asinine and hilarious. I just could not. I had too many. I was basically just copying down all the dialogue from the show.
But what did you write down though?
Oh, we'll get to it. We'll get to it, buddy.
Okay.
When he
Alright.
yeah, we'll get to it. I don't want to ruin the, the suspense. Ooh.
Oh, you don't want to ruin this terrible
Oh my
ruined show.
God, it's so bad. Okay, so then we got Gretzky, and like Tony mentioned, this makes a lot more sense now. Gretzky is, for whatever reason, the comic relief, and he's always obsessed with like food. So he's
Yep.
real dumb,
I know.
always obsessed with food, and just kind of loves fun. He's like the fun-loving guy. So yes, he's Michelangelo. That makes perfect sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then
it's really lazy writing.
Oh,
Honestly,
and I
they
mean,
just-
even voice acting, because they just bring the guy in. He doesn't even try to do anything else. He's just like, oh, I'm basically just Michelangelo with a hockey stick, which is fine. I mean, whatever.
Yeah, when I was watching this, I was like, my God, Wayne Gretzky has a dark relationship with food. That man needs some help.
There's something hidden there. And then Bo Jackson, like I said, he's kind of the muscle for the team. So he just occasionally will pick up a tree and just like knock out a robot because whatever.
Or robot
does.
shark and wipe out another robot shark.
Yeah, just bat one robot shark into another robot shark. I love
Left
it.
shark into right shark.
That's right.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Driven into left field. Okay, so now we've got a couple of these supporting characters we should touch on real quick. So let's talk about Mom, shall we? Where do you want to start with Mom? Genetics? Would you like to
No,
start with
sh-
genetics?
Do you, I mean, I think she's a Jewish stereotype.
she?
She is the worst Jewish stereotype.
Man,
Yeah, was
they are
she-
not even
and-
trying to hide it.
And her accent was kind of tough. Was it a Russian Jew or German Jew? Because it really kind of like switched up depending on what
It
episode you were
switched.
watching.
Just
Yeah, it
Bronxy.
depends on the episode. It was a little bit of both. I got more Russian between the two. but
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I'd
It was-
go Russian. Yeah.
yeah.
She
Ooh.
was more Yiddish throughout. It was,
And she has it's
Ooh.
just such a weird character. So they just call her Mom, which opens up a whole host of questions. Very much like a me, myself, and Irene kind of level of questions.
Especially,
Um,
the short white
Ex-
Jewish woman who is apparently mother to 3 tall black men.
Yes. Well,
Well-
Wayne Gretzky's
Well-
not so black, but he's Canadian
Wayne
black.
Gretzky.
Two.
Yeah.
he's black Canadian.
Yeah.
He's black Canadian. He's a little. So we've explained the genetics so far. But then even beyond that, so she runs Mom's gym. There's a couple funny scenes where she like actually, she's almost
How
like
is-
she's
how
like the
is that
Patches
gym in
O'Houlihan.
business?
Well, she's like the Patches O'Houlihan of this group because she's tougher than them.
Yeah.
She apparently taught them all like what they know about sports, and she just like keeps trying to like, she's a very tough mom. Let's put it that way. How that gym is in business, no fucking clue. Because all she
Yeah.
does all day with her like intern Denise is they just make gadgets for these guys. That's all they do all day. Did that make any sense to you guys whatsoever?
Well, she's basically their Q.
Yes.
I mean, just having just the random assortment of gadgets that at the top of the episode you're like, how would that ever come into play? And then they somehow fall back assward into the exact situation where such a tool would be useful.
Yeah, and then they play that out so much that it's like she doesn't even introduce these gadgets half the time anymore. They just show up. They're just on their person. They are just in their shoes, in their hats.
And sometimes they'll just introduce them to one another, like this is this device.
Oh,
and,
hey, don't you remember you got that thing that'll help you out of this situation? Yeah.
My favorite one was by far when they were underwater and they were fighting those mechanical sharks.
Oh my God.
And Wayne Gretzky pulls out this
Yes,
the
the smoke thing.
that like. So he puts it on his wrist, and then this little like
The
hockey
tiny
stick pops
miniature
out of
hockey
the
stick.
and
Oh my
knocks
God.
it off his wrist to shoot it out into the water. And this black like almost octopus ink style
Yeah.
gunk fills the water. And Bo Jackson or Michael Jordan, one of the two of them goes, "Oh, what are you doing? You're polluting." And he goes, "No, this is completely non-toxic and reversible." And he goes and grabs it, and it just sucks all the stuff right back into it. And then he proceeds to throw it out there again.
Yeah, just to prove a point. Just be like, no, it's totally
Just
cool.
to
Sucks it
prove.
all right back
Look,
in.
We needed something that could obscure the water in a way that only, horrible chemicals could do.
Right.
But we need kids to know that we're not horrible people. This is 100% reversible.
Totally safe. Yeah.
You actually are a horrible person. The reason is
Wayne Gretzky,
is
if you're listening.
Wayne Gretzky, you had that technology and you didn't use it for other applications.
Yeah, seriously.
You
kept
dick.
it to yourself.
British Petroleum would buy that technology tomorrow.
Yeah.
I mean, that would.
Tony's maybe
getting
that's
upset.
how mom's gym is staying in business.
She's just
is that
selling
they are
government
selling-
secrets.
they're selling these gadgets to big oil.
I feel like she's running a black market operation, though. Like, I think she's probably not on the up and up.
Or
But,
just maybe like a webcam with Denise on it.
well, that's probably going on, too, which is why she's always there. That is a side
Sure is.
topic for another day. And then we've got this random neighbor that just keeps showing
Wait,
up.
are you
right?
just gonna put the idea of a cam girl up on the shelf? You're just gonna table this one as much as
I
possible.
think
huh,
people
Dave?
got it. I think they
Moving
got what you're
along.
putting down there.
Fair enough. Fair
Yeah.
enough.
I mean, that's a good source of income. Not that I would know. But, so then we've also got this neighbor who it's just a running gag. I don't even think they ever name him. He's just some guy who keeps falling victim to all of mom's gadgets that kind of go awry. So he's always getting like his face smashed in or shit falling on him. And he just kind of shows up and they, take whatever the gadget was back from him and they continue on about their day. So that's about it.
Yeah,
Anything else
seriously,
from the characters for you guys? Yeah.
Yeah, just that scene you just talked about with mom, like when she always like something goes like through a wall or something
Right.
like that. Like they really should have taken mom on the missions because she threw a basketball through a wall.
Yeah,
in one
she
of
was like
those moments.
dodgeball queen.
Seriously.
Yeah, I like mom.
She's the only person in this group that almost killed somebody
Yes.
by throwing a projectile through a wall every episode.
Yes.
And they were like, no, you chill here back at this shitty gym that's not making any money.
She also almost kills her adopted or otherwise sons every episode because she can't remember what the hell gadget does what. And every gadget has a propeller in it. It doesn't matter what it is. It's a bat with a propeller. It's a mitt with a propeller. It's an ice skate with a propeller. It's ridiculous.
She's really one note, really
Yeah.
phoning it in.
Yeah,
towards the
she's
later
just perfecting
episodes.
that one form of transportation.
Which
I
is
guess.
saying something when there's only 13 episodes
Oh my
and we
God.
watched 3 of them
Right?
and picked up on that.
Oh boy! Speaking of those episodes, let's dive into these. I think we'll go through these one by one because there's enough ridiculous things that happen. We can kind of tackle them one by one. Sean, buddy, I know you're excited to get to this first one because of some random thematic things that have some interesting repercussions in real life. So let's get into Slugger Returns if you're ready for it.
So, Slugger Returns begins with a kid sending a VHS tape to the ProStars, which begs the question, this is not the ProStars' first mission.
No,
Like,
they've
they
been around
have to have a reputation of being do-gooders and assisting kids.
on the off season,
Correct.
like Matt mentioned. Yeah.
They have to have some type of a P.O. box that these kids are sending VHS tapes
Well, it's
to.
just mom's gym. Yeah.
Not to mention, these kids have to be pretty sophisticated if they're like editing video together to be able to send it to them.
Yeah.
That's
It takes you longer to edit the video to ask them for help than it would have taken to solve the problem you're asking them to
You're
help.
right. I love the problem that comes up in the first episode though, because it's just like, whoa, holy shit, what's about to happen here?
so too long did not read. This boy sends in a videotape because he told his dad that he no longer wants to play t-ball,
Right.
and his dad has now left. And he cannot find his father.
Which I find an
Presumably his
appropriate
father's
response.
Presumably his father is. We don't know that for certain.
right.
I just love that
So-
logic though. The kid's just like, hey dad, I'm not gonna play t-ball anymore. The dad doesn't say a word to him. He just fucking up and leaves. He is done with this kid. I love
So-
that. I was like, whoa, this is gonna get real dark.
And Michael Jordan, I am impressed with his faith in all parents everywhere
Yes.
by immediately going, no, that's not what he meant. He did, all parents care about their kids.
Yeah.
I'm like, hell no. I know some parents that walked out. on their
Exactly.
kids like that.
That's where I was like, is this gonna get like serious and dark here? And on the show, it did not. But in real life,
Well,
apparently,
In real life,
Yeah.
there's a much darker history.
what you got?
So doing a little bit of research because, as I mentioned before, I am not as big of a sports fan. So this month is going to be an interesting challenge for me. I did a little bit
You're
of
gonna learn a
research
lot.
about.
Yeah.
I will, and I did. I learned a little bit about. I Googled all three of their fathers to find out where they are.
I'm sure everything's fine.
So, I'll put. I'm gonna do this in order of severity.
Oh boy.
But this is serious. I'm actually not fucking around with this.
Yeah.
This is very tragic.
Yeah, we don't know
And
what he's about to tell us. I have no clue.
And I don't. Obviously, at the time when this show came out, many of these things had not come to fruition. Well, except for one of them, which was Bo Jackson.
Okay.
But for Wayne Gretzky, a couple years ago, his father was sadly diagnosed with Parkinson's. So Bo Jackson, he is the 8th child of 10 children. His mother was barely able to support her family with a job as a housekeeper. Since Bo Jackson's father, whose name is A.D. Adams,
Okay.
never wed his mother, and in fact, he had a family of his own on the opposite side of town.
How many kids did he have over there?
Who
Don't worry about it
knows?
if you don't have it.
I mean,
That's a lot of
it's,
kids. He's like the.
So that's
Yeah, go ahead.
so that's sad and tragic because this is in the moment where this kid is talking about his missing dad, and Bo Jackson just goes, he's like, Bo knows, and I was like, oh,
Bo knows all about this.
Oh,
This tragic
fuck.
part of my life.
I had researched a little bit about just like their families for each player, and then I watched this first, and then it was just, and then Bo just goes, Bo knows, and I was
then
like,
a single tear rolls down his cheek, his animated
oh
cheek.
my God. And
This is what
Mike-
Waterboy was actually based on, so that does make a lot of sense.
And Michael Jordan has the
Oh god.
saddest story of all. His father was sadly murdered.
Goof.
It was like I believe it was right before his father turned 57 years old. It was like 8 days before he was driving back from a funeral, pulled off on the side of the road to take a nap on his car ride home, and two people stumbled upon his car, and they intended to rob him, but then one of them ended up killing him. And so
Well then.
it's this took a real turn for the worse, but
Yeah.
it was something where I the whole theme of this is the fact that this kid's father has disappeared, and
Right.
just sort of looking into some of the families, I was just like, wow, this is unbelievably sad. And so just watching this episode with that narrative thread
Oh, boy.
underneath, I was like, oh, my heart goes out to these families. This is awful.
See,
This is
and
really
I
terrible.
feel terrible about all that stuff. However, the way they handle it in the show is slightly different. So, you want to dive back into it? Because,
Somebody else can pick this
Oh
up
my
because I
God,
I
it's-
delivered such sad news.
dude, it's such a twisted way to look at this show now because there's some really weird stuff that happens, but you're just like, okay, that's cartoon logic, whatever. Like, okay, so long and short of it, there's a mad scientist whose name is Clockwork De Larange.
De Larange.
Oh man, that was so good.
It was painful. That's where I paused it the first time. This is like 5 minutes into it.
Was that a pinch of the bridge of the nose, or was that a full face palm?
No,
were we at
that
point?
was an end table into the wall, is what that was.
Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
I thought it was going to be like a forehead to chin wipe, you know.
Forehead to coffee table and
Yeah.
back to IKEA. Clockwork Delarange, and he's just like this little weird nerdy guy who has like a speech impediment, and it's just so many tropey things that whatever you can pretty much picture him right now, and his harebrained scheme, I still can't quite figure out how he put this all together.
I never figured this one out.
I mean, Jordan figured it out like that. He saw his little remote control device and is like, oh, I know exactly what that is. That turns inanimate objects into remote control robots. Oh, does it? Well, thanks, Michael Jordan. Thanks for having your automotive expertise here, your autonomic whatever. Oh my God, okay. So he's your mad scientist. He's using remote controlled robots, including. Was this a corpse? Was this a statue? What was this supposed to be of this guy? I think it was just a statue at the
Slugger?
museum, right? No, of
Slugger?
Cleats Robinson.
Oh.
Oh yeah. I think it was just supposed to be like a bronze style statue.
Yeah. So we probably
I'm
should have told
I'm
you.
going embalmed body.
Embalmed
Yeah.
body. So the corpse of Cleats Robinson. When this kid in his VHS tape for help, he basically says like, okay, right before my dad disappeared, he said something about Cleats Robinson. And Bo, he's like, oh, Bo knows about Cleats Robinson. He died years ago, which is a weird thing to say.
Well, Bo murdered him.
Yeah, Bo murdered him because he killed his dad. So there's Cleats Robinson.
Oh,
And
Jesus
there's like a
Christ.
memorial statue of Cleats Robinson in the American Museum of Sports, right? Where all this thing went down. So meanwhile, Clockwork Delarange has remote controlled and animated this corpse statue of Cleats Robinson as part of some sort of harebrained plot to capture the commissioner of baseball. To what end? I don't even know if that was ever revealed. Did he
What?
even say why?
No, it was just the end game was just to kidnap.
just wanted to
him.
kidnap.
I thought it was to kidnap him to bankrupt baseball because all of the owners would pay to get the commissioner back, which in reality is complete and utter bullshit.
But you know what else is
So-
hilarious? Did you catch why he said that he was doing this whole plot? He played baseball as a kid, and they wouldn't let him play center field.
Yeah, and he is wearing the entire episode. He's wearing a baseball
Yes,
uniform,
a creepy like kid-sized baseball uniform. Yeah,
kid size, but straight out of like the 1920s. The
yeah,
the
like
Knickerbocker
a Babe
style.
Ruth Yankees kind of
Oh,
the
God,
pinstripes
yeah.
and the high socks. Yeah. Oh no. Honestly, like I checked out of that one pretty early on, man. So I mean, the guys kind of run through a few of these robots. There's one that's made out of all different types of like athletic equipment, and they just like run through it. And meanwhile, the kids in there just like running around, just watching the ProStars like take these things out. I don't even remember what the hell happened in the end, to be honest with you.
Well, Marv Albert shows up.
Marv Albert
Yeah,
shows up.
Marv Albert shows up. And so I want to point out. And I presumably this winds up happening throughout the rest of the series.
Yeah.
But in this episode, Wayne Gretzky, one of the tools that he gets is first off he has these shoes that the skate wheels just pop out of.
Right,
So he
like
can immediately
rollerblades,
start-
right? Yeah.
He can immediately start rollerblading
Right.
any place he wants to go. He has a wrist watch type thing that pops out, a full size hockey
Which
stick
is
in this
amazing.
episode,
Yeah.
and mini size hockey sticks in later episodes. But
The best one.
And then one of the tools that Mom gives him for this is a hockey puck that turns into a boomerang. And it's like, why would you possibly need that? And so he proceeds to wind up chasing this creature
Yeah.
that's like the amalgamation of all these different elements from
Like sports equipment.
Yeah, sports equipment stuff,
that- And so and winds up, he runs around a curved wall, and so that's of course the perfect time to hit the boomerang so that the puck will veer around the side of the wall and take this thing out.
Yeah.
Now, you may have noticed that the very same approach was done in the theme song.
Yes. Yep.
But with different characters, albeit very similarly like designed. Like it's a little white boy with a baseball cap, but he's got different colored hair and different colored shirt and pants. And they're in like a castle in the the theme song, but they're in the
sports
American
museum.
of Sports.
Yeah.
And it was really odd because I feel like they may have tried to put those elements into the show to make them feel like it's almost like they did the theme song first and made that video, and that's how they pitched the show, was with that, but they just couldn't make it look like a castle. Why would he? It's just too batshit crazy to put Clockwork de l'Orange in a castle.
Oh.
I mean, he has to be in a sports museum.
Gotta be in a sports
like
museum.
that.
In the
hold on.
control room of a sports museum, too.
Tony, are you saying that some creative exec sat in an office and was like, this show is too crazy?
He's like,
This
I'm
show-
good with boomerang hockey pucks, which actually I like that quite a bit.
Yeah,
Because that saves
But
him from dragging a bag of hockey pucks around with him. So.
I'll dial it back.
Yeah.
Do you think that somebody put any thought into this show?
That's a fair question.
Any fucking thought into this
I
show?
see, and the theme songs are usually so much more half-assed with a lot of the film or a lot of the shows that we've seen, in that they're just an amalgamation of clips from episodes that show up later in the show. I mean, case in point, when we did SWAT Cats,
Yeah.
I joined you guys for that one, and the very first episode of SWAT Cats is literally the theme song, just cut up into smaller chunks and redone. It's even a slightly different art style than the rest of the episode.
Yeah.
Right.
This is a case where it's really close, but it's not quite there. So they basically animated the same thing twice for no
Just
good
slightly
reason
different,
other
yeah.
than just slightly different, but generally the same idea.
Because of that budgeting snafu, we probably could have gotten a second season of
Yeah, or a
ProStars.
seventh season.
Seventh season.
Yeah. All right, now, listeners, I have to apologize ahead of time for this next one. I did not vet these episodes before we watched them. I know I've promised you in the past that we would never do a Jamaican accent again. Unfortunately, a young Jamaican kid does show up in the second episode called Short John's Revenge, and as soon as it happened, I threw a wardrobe out the window because I knew that Sean was going to have to do it. And I apologize in advance. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go back and listen to our Tailspin episode, if you can get through it. Matt, yeah, go ahead.
In the I will save you the impression this time.
I don't believe it. I don't buy it. I don't believe it. I don't think you can restrain yourself.
Maybe,
From-
but right
from
now
Jammer.
I'm doing pretty. You're just feeding me.
I'm telling you, you love
I know.
Jammer.
I do want to say that the villain in this, Short John. Do you know
Short
who
John
the
Silver.
voice actor? Short John's
Short John Sliver.
Oh, Sliver. I've got
Sliver.
Silver in here.
Do you know who the voice actor was? Who
I
played that
recognize the voice, but I couldn't pin it down.
It is Jim Cummings.
Yes.
He plays the voice of Pete on Goof Troop and a majority of the Disney animated cartoons
Nailed it.
that have Pete, who is Goofy's like more husky, burly friend.
Well, yeah, but
Well,
in the,
not
in
really
the,
friend.
in
That
the
always
old
has the
cartoons, he's
voice
the
that
antagonist,
kind of
right?
does this thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you definitely recognize the voice as soon as you hear it. Yeah,
Immediately.
I just couldn't peg the name. But Matt, did you have any impressions from this one? I mean, we will get into the robot sea creatures in a second here, but I'm trying to avoid having Sean go Jamaican on us.
The only thing about the second episode was there seemed to be, the premise. I don't know. Can I get into the premise? Am I going to spoil it?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
No,
The-
spoil.
so the
Fuck it,
premise
go
is
for it.
that-
Ruin everything. It's fine.
It's already been ruined,
this-
Matt.
yeah,
You're not going to
you
do
can't
the
say
same
that.
damage.
Yeah,
was-
can I do any more
It
damage
was
here?
ruined in
No,
ni-
you really
It
can't.
was ruined in 1991. Let's be honest.
Well, so there's going to be a sale of a, stereotypical treasure chest to quote jet setters, that Sliver is going to just basically steal all the money from, but the Jamaican people wanted to use it to build a school. And after you find out its sale price, it would have been an incredibly nice school in Jamaica.
Yes, it would have been.
But
in 1991, especially.
Right?
Seriously.
That's
But-
inflation adjusted. That's a gorgeous school.
Oh boy.
with the amount of mechanical animals that were required to steal this treasure, I feel like he's still going to be in the hole after he sells it.
Oh man. So
You
yeah,
have mechanical
we
sharks.
yeah we alluded to them
mechanical
before, the mechanical
octopus, yeah.
sharks, right? You've got the robo octopus who comes back again and
That-
again, and one of
Well,
maybe
you know what?
yeah, go ahead.
Dave, maybe the robot octopus wasn't that expensive. It was made in Korea.
And this is 1991 Korea.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe they cut some corners there. What
Also,
I
they
want to
didn't
know
say
more about.
which Korea.
They didn't say which Korea. That's true.
I just
I
always
told you,
assume
mom's
North.
in the black market game. So
Always assume North.
I always assume Northern
you gotta
Korea.
assume North.
I always assume Northern Korea. I
There's
was
some
like,
shady
this
stuff
is some
going on.
crazy shit. Yeah, Northern Korea.
Yeah, Northern Korea, Northern South
Northern
Korea.
Korea.
So he's
North
buying
Korea.
it. He's buying it on the black market,
Yeah.
super cheap, in order to be able to. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
No. I'm totally
He's-
on board with that.
He is the kind of guy that would buy from an embargo country.
You know,
Yeah.
I completely understand.
what I
that.
really want to know is
You got to look for the seal of the supreme leader on it to know that it's a quality product.
well, now here's my question to you: do the life-size inflatable latex facsimiles of Bo, Michael, and Wayne also come from North Korea? Because they just show up out of nowhere.
No, they come from Mom,
Oh, from
who
Mom.
is the only
I see.
inventing genius who could come up with such lifelike. Really, they are the actual people
Yes.
until they say that no, they're just fakes. Like, because they actually move like them at first.
It's weird
when
how
they're
they're
when they're
animated the
wrapped
same.
up.
Yeah.
But then when they go back and it's like, and let's take a closer look, and the camera punches in, a half an inch further, and then all of a sudden their arms are flailing all over and they have no joints. It's kind of obvious, but
They're just wacky wigglers.
yeah,
Wacky
yeah.
wigglers.
wacky inflatable arm flailing tube man, wacky inflatable arm flailing tube man.
You got it.
Oh god.
One of my favorite lines of Gretzky was in this one. He says something to the effect of, I'm not a fan of water unless it's the frozen kind, which is known as ice. Like, is thank you, Wayne Gretzky, for explaining what frozen water is. You fucking twat.
Thank you, Wade. That was the joke.
Yes, Wayne.
Well, then that ties in well to the first episode where Michael says about De Laurent. She goes, "We gotta ice him,"
Oh, no.
and I was like, "Wait, are you familiar with what that slang means?"
Just gonna murder this guy.
He's gonna murder him.
I feel like that was supposed to be Wayne Gretzky's line. Like, they just screwed up the dialogue. That was supposed to
Jordan
be his
was
line.
like, "Look, I'm not doing any of the live action things, and you know what? I want to take at least one of Gretzky's lines per episode."
Exactly. That's in my contract.
Speaking of, I love that multiple times, and I they talk about his airness and some of
Yes.
the nicknames that some of these players have. You know, the great one
Yes.
they talk about for Gretzky. But then Michael has two times, I think in the first and third episode, where he brings up Flight 23.
Yes, I
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah.
Self-referential stuff. I thought you were gonna do the hairness joke from the second episode.
That
No,
was
that
priceless.
Oh, that was fucking
That was-
cringeworthy.
Oh God, yeah, that was terrible.
Ugh, not even worth mentioning.
Moving on.
Anything else from number 2? Because number 3 might have been the most batshit of all of them.
Yeah, let's get into three.
Okay, so 3, it's called the Perbots of Dr. Loeb, right?
Yep.
Do we ever explain what the fuck a Perbot is?
So a Perbot is a robot that Dr. Loeb has created to best the ProStars at professional sports. And the objective is that once Dr. Loeb videotapes the Perbots besting the ProStars, all of these sports teams will buy Perbots to compete in sports, and they won't use actual real human athletes anymore.
Okay, let me rephrase the question then. Why name them Perbots?
I don't give
Oh,
a shit.
well,
because
and
it was the
literally how-
combination of a person and a robot.
Oh my
but they were
god, are you
smarter
serious?
and
That's
better
what they
than
were
both.
doing? Man, Matt, I am glad you're here because I never would have got that in a million years.
Yeah, I wouldn't have connected that.
Well,
but
you
I
could
just
have done robots and humans, but then you'd call them like Romans or
Yeah, Romans is
Romans.
fucking fun.
That would have been pretty
Totally
cool.
would have got that, yeah.
But no, then when he's first introducing them, of course he monologues through and explains what they are and the whole purpose
Right.
and everything. So explain your evil plan to start out with, so all the stupid little kids will understand.
Look, dude, and I'm totally
he-
cool with that. I'm cool with I'm a mad scientist named Dr. Loeb. I've got a crazy big vein on my crazy big forehead, and I made murder bots to fight and beat the ProStars in sports. Totally fine with that.
No,
That's
no,
all you
Dave,
need to know, right?
Dave, you make murder bots to murder.
Yeah, but they're
and-
more or less gonna murder them.
and he calls them he goes at the end, he goes, I call them Perbot. Like
Yeah, I call, like, who the fuck
that's
else
my
would be
little
calling them
nickname.
anything? Yeah.
He goes, I call them Perbot.
I call them
so just so you
Perbots.
know.
It's like, like people and robots, like Perbots. I think it's cute. It's marketable. All well and good, right? You think that would be enough? Maybe the ProStars, because they're kind of these macho guys, they don't think the robots are going to beat them. Maybe that's all the incentive they need to go out there and face these robots, right?
No, they're like super threatened.
Oh yeah, why was that? What did this mad scientist do in addition to making murder bots?
He kidnapped some
He
girl
kidnapped
named
like
Jill.
an 8-year-old girl named Jill, hung her spread eagle above, basically hung her crotch above a murder mouth.
Well, settle down.
It was just like there are less graphic ways to do what you're doing, sir. Like I don't.
Well, here was the crazy thing, Dave.
Here was the crazy thing.
No,
did you hear what I just said?
Yes, I did. Let me break this down.
Let's do it.
Now, everybody else can help me on this, please. So he kidnapped somebody in order to have murder bots kill the ProStars, so that then national sports teams would buy his murder bots from a kidnapper
and murderer. Yes. Child murderer as well.
And a potential intent to kill a child.
Yes.
I have to believe he probably would not have put on camera the girl who was suspended
above the dentures of
twat
death.
first.
Twat
Above
first.
Jesus. So he's not like periscoping this. He's not like live streaming
No.
this.
The camera's pointed in the other direction.
I mean, he has the power to aim the cameras in whatever direction that he wants to, and I'm sure he's focusing on the athletics and not the
12-year-old vagina
This
hung
guy's
above the death mouth.
I could just imagine Dr. Loeb sitting down and like firing up Final Cut Pro and just like, I'm gonna cut out this twat girl.
Oh God, this guy needed to be put down. This is some dark, twisted shit.
Well, and then on top of that, this is the episode where mom pushes her way in to go along for it. So she takes the place of Wayne Gretzky for most of it as the comedic foil, the one kind of bumbling everything up, and she has to be held back from, like, I'm gonna get him, and they gotta grab her and hold her up, and she's, half the height of Michael Jordan,
right,
so he just lifts her 6 inches off the ground and she can't go anywhere. But so you've got that dynamic going on with it, where she's commenting throughout the entire episode, which at least in previous episodes you got her out of the episode fairly early on.
Right.
She gave the props and tools and then exits, and this one it just keeps coming back to the well.
Dude, and it's such
and the well
like
was dry years ago.
Yeah, and so the basic premise of this one is that each of the athletes in turn will face off against a robot. So you've got Bo Jackson just in baseball. I don't think they did anything with football. They've got the baseball, so it's just a pitcher versus a hitter, and they switch on and off. And there's some goofy stuff that happens, and whatever. And so then Jordan goes through his thing, and he had a couple like not funny lines, but just like, what the fuck is happening in this thing? Like, meanwhile, as Bo is distracting the robots, Jordan is trying to use his superior intellectual abilities, which I will get to in a second, to figure out how to get this girl out of the twat trap and save her. In case they don't actually defeat the robots.
Which, in actuality, he just jumps up there with her, stands on top of one of the magnets, somehow suspending her above the.
It's because she had bangles on her wrists. She had metal bangles, so the magnets were holding her up by her metal fucking bangles.
But he just squats there and has a conversation with her as
like a weird frog.
Yo, girl, what's up?
Hey, girl.
How you doing?
Okay, so
what's going on? What's up
this
with
is
you?
example number 1 of his like pseudo intellectual speak. She's like, oh my God, how'd you jump all the way up here? And he's like, well, the tensile strength of my quadriceps were blah, 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 and I jumped at a 70-degree angle. She's like, oh, so you mean you jumped? He's like, yeah, I guess you could say that. Just why?
Yeah, that's exactly what
she is hanging with her lady bit suspended above a death trap. Stop. Oh my God, I'm getting upset again. And then
stop talking down to her.
Wait, hold on. What level of upset are you at right now?
I don't know where I am.
What
anymore.
Piece of furniture is near you now, and what other object is nearby for you to throw?
I'm building to like full living room set destruction rage level because of the next couple of lines that are gonna come out of my mouth in a second. So couch. We did burn a lot of couches back in the day, but.
And we sure did.
So at some point he figures out,
Virginia?
but just like not too far from
Pittsburgh,
West Virginia, couch burning competition. So he radios into Denise, who's just been doing fuck all back home, just sitting on the couch, just eating Cheetos.
Yeah, look, she's a cam girl. She doesn't do shit.
Well, yeah, she just sits there and she just keeps getting coins. So she's tallying it up, and then she's like, fuck, okay, I gotta help these idiots. What do they want? And he says something to the effect of, here, punch this into the computer, 76,000 times pi 1.4 arc radius, and how much do you weigh? 75 pounds. That, and he's like, just punch it in, it should be fine. I'm like, God, you were supposed to be teaching kids about like how to use math and how to use science, and at least just pretend to know what the fuck you're talking about. And
what does
oh my
the
God.
what does this equation produce? What is the product?
Yes, the product is just pull the plug. Fucking oh my God.
frankly, that sounds like my last experience trying to work with Microsoft Excel.
I mean, and that's fine. I'm sure
Punch
they're
in a
based
bunch of
on the
numbers
same.
and eventually get to the point where I just pull the plug.
I love that. Do you guys remember? Do you guys remember his line, his one-liner when he actually finds the plug to save this chick?
No,
Oh, it was a pretty good one. He is like, he's by himself. He found the plug somewhere, in an outlet where you fucking would expect a plug to be. And he looks at it and he's like, well, not to brag or anything, but this plug is exactly where I thought it would be. I'm just like, what dialogue is that? Who are you talking to?
Fucking
Just
dick.
pull the fucking plug.
Just a Jordan brag.
Jordan brags. So I got one more favorite Jordan moment, but anything else from this episode that you guys that stuck out to you?
I have a favorite Gretzky moment.
Ooh, okay, that's true. I didn't get to
From this.
Gretzky because even though the other two had been victorious over the bots, right?
Right.
They now have to do the third and final one because it is, quote, the most important game, ice hockey.
Yes. Right.
Yeah.
So there is the moment where Gretzky gets on the ice and all of his they're playing hockey and some shit is happening, and then Wayne does what I didn't think was going to be possible in this show, and he breaks the fourth wall.
Yep.
Yeah.
Great moment.
And he pauses and he just goes, sometimes it's cool to be in a cartoon. And I just out loud, I just went, fuck you. Fuck you. Thanks for stringing along my suspension of disbelief for.
You're not even fucking Wayne Gretzky.
Yeah,
You're
exactly.
Michelangelo in a human suit.
Thank you, Michelangelo.
Just fuck yourself.
That was pretty bad.
That was terrible. You said you had another.
I did. I want to go
Jordan-
round
Jordan
robin.
moment?
Did Matt? Did you have anything else from this episode?
Only the fourth wall moment. Honestly, I was watching this at work and I said, "What the fuck?" at my
Yeah.
desk out loud.
Nice.
Not the best decision, but
Well, no.
as soon as if I would have had to explain it, I could have,
Excellent.
and everybody would
Tony,
have got on board. So
Tony, anything
Could
else
you
from
have
this one?
explained it? Could you really have explained it? No. This episode was. I mean, this was the nail in the coffin as far as I'm
Yeah,
concerned.
no, I hear you. I hear you. But what
I was done. I was done.
what really brought it home for me was the last few minutes of this one, not the live action segments or anything, but so the ProStars rescue this chick.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember this? They rescue this chick
Yes.
who's apparently been missing for, I don't know, at least the better part of a day. And she gets back. She's like, "Hey, thanks for saving me, but my parents are waiting outside now." And she opens the door, and her parents are just like at the end of a parking lot of Mom's
Yeah.
gym, just sitting in the car, like apparently not very concerned that she's in there with the ProStars, not concerned that she was hung twat first over a death machine by a mad scientist. Totally fine. So Jordan starts to say, "Not a problem, Jill. That's what we're here for. And just remember," now meanwhile, as he's saying this thing to her, she's just walking out
She's
the door.
getting
She's
the car,
fucking gone.
yeah.
She's done. She's done with this. She is in the car with her parents there, driving off, and Jordan continues to give his monologue to her, like, "Who are you talking to? She's gone.
The
She's
car has driven
just
away
let her
by
go."
the time he finishes that monologue.
Oh
yeah.
my god, that was
I
great.
forgot about that.
I loved it.
Here's the amazing thing.
Yeah. That we survived this?
Well, that we survived this show. So in this case with Jill, she either has to be kidnapped all the time, or her parents are offering her up to get kidnapped all the time.
There's a lot of dark stuff happening
Ooh.
behind the scenes here.
Or both.
Or both.
Both options. But regardless of how it's going, they are the chillest people to recover from a kidnapping and potential death of. They couldn't even get. Here's where I have a problem with this.
Here's
is
where you have the problem. Okay.
politeness.
Oh, okay.
Her parents couldn't even get out of the fucking car to come in and just say, "Oh, thank God you saved our Jill. We love her so much. We have no idea what we do with that." They're like, "No, Hank, come on, Jill. You got another kidnapping. Somebody else wants to pick you up and put you in a van."
Right.
This is the polar opposite to Mel Gibson's scene in the movie Ransom.
Oh God.
Give me back my son. No, this is. Would you like our daughter? Just have her
she's
back
for
by
rent.
7.
Yeah, it's fine. Here, I'm gonna.
This is like
Here's my
this is like
theory.
the terrible
Here's my theory. All right. Now remember, we don't see her parents. We can't see their face when she leaves. I'm gonna say Jill's father is Dr. Loeb. Bum bum bum. You never see him. She was never actually in danger. He just wanted to test out his robots, and now he can use her in another harebrained scheme in the future. Totally fine. Dr. Loeb.
Dave, are you writing season 7 for this?
I am actually in the middle of it right now.
I was gonna say this is how season 2 opens.
Yeah.
Jill is a full-grown woman.
Oh God, this is Sean's sexy pro stars.
Oh God.
This is Cam
we
stars.
we open up on Jill tied to a set of railroad
Oh
tracks.
man.
She's in a love square between all 3 members of the ProStars.
I feel like Denise has recruited her into her Cam Girls routine at this point.
Oh my God.
Gotta get those coins.
Gotta get those coins.
Get those coins.
Get coins. Speaking of getting those coins, you guys recommend this one at all? Sean, let's start with you. How many coins do you give it? We got a
take back
special
all my
today.
quotes.
It's a buy one get one.
No, I do not recommend this.
Not
show.
even ironically at this point.
Not even. I think if you want to see an example of something that does not hold up, then watch this.
Yes, there you go. Very specific. Tony, how about you, friend?
Fuck no.
Fair enough. Short and succinct. I like it. Mr. Matt Barron, how say you?
You can spend an hour of your time in any way but this.
I like that. That's a good endorsement. I'm going to stick with Matt on this one. Do anything else for an hour. I am livid. I am still rage fueled from this.
I honestly was hoping after all of this that Dave would have been like, you know what, it was pretty good, and I recommend everybody watch it.
I'm usually
You
like
know,
that because
now
you
that
guys
we
convince
talked
me.
through it, you guys.
No. Every
I
once in a
dare
while you
say-
convince me of its merits, but this one is just a frustrating mess.
I dare say that this show was an ulterior motive, or had an ulterior motive to get kids to go outside and play sports. Turn off this fucking terrible
what?
television. This is how bad TV is. You should go play sports.
I'm on board with that, and I think it would have worked for me. If only it would have stayed on for 7 seasons. I think it would have been successful.
Did not work for me.
Didn't.
7 seasons
No.
of
I
movie.
like Tony's theory works for me. That's it. Oh, it didn't work for Sean. Sorry. Oh boy. All right. Well, it's that time of show. Everybody gets to go around and do some plugs. So let's start with our guest
These
first,
plugs.
Mr. Tony Lazzaroni. If you are ready, sir, where can the folks find you over the next couple of weeks?
Yeah, you can find me not doing anything. Well, I'm.
What you got?
I'm performing. So I play in a 311 tribute band
Nice.
called the Hostile Apostles. It's not in the next couple weeks. It's July 25th. We're playing Jam and Java as part of a Back to the 90s music showcase.
Awesome.
So got that coming up, and you can find me online at Big Tony VT on Twitter. And also you can check out the short films that Sean and I work on at vimeo.com/crowded elevators, and some other short sketches and comedy bits on youtube.com/ugly Hollywood.
Excellent. We will have all those links up on the website. And Tony, if you guys ever decide to do covers of like 80s and 90s cartoon theme songs, I would love to hear that.
Have you heard of a band called the Minibots?
The Minibots, no, we gotta check them out.
They cover the theme songs to Mega Man, like all the different boss themes that they have.
Oh, that's cool. Especially since that show might be coming back on the air. Actually, they have a new one.
Yeah, and they do it as a live rock band, and
that's awesome.
It is excellent. So that's, if you're looking for something in that realm, yeah, check out Mini Bosses.
Mini Bosses.
so
Okay, cool.
bad.
Or if anybody out there is listening who actually does a cover band for these theme songs, we would love to have you on and actually just feature it too, because I think that'd be pretty cool.
Or if you're a member of the Minibots and you want to come on the show,
Yeah.
Hold on, is it Mini Bots or Mini Bosses?
They're excuse me, the Mini Bosses.
Mini Bosses.
It is
Okay,
Mini
just
Bosses?
want
Okay.
to be clear. All right, Mr. Matt Barron, what are you up to out there on the West Coast?
Oh, just trying to stay below NBA Finals stray fire, but
Oh boy, is it that bad?
yeah. Just taking it easy. Looking forward to the next episode.
Wonderful. We'll get there in a second. Do you know what the next one is coming up? Hold that thought.
Yep.
All right, Sean.
Yeah.
What's on your schedule for the next couple of weeks?
Oh man, I'm going to be doing some improv in DC
How about that?
at the DC Arts Center. That's in Adams Morgan on 18th Street. We'll be there. Well, the day that this gets released on the 6th,
Nice.
June 6th, June 13th, and June 20th. All shows are at 7:30. And then on June 26th, there'll be a doubleheader at 7:30 and 10 o'clock. You could find more tickets at witdc.org.
And where can the folks find you on social media, sir?
You can find my cam that I have that's going to be streaming. No,
Typing it
you
right
can,
now.
you can find me on Twitter and Instagram, although I will definitely say I'm on Instagram more, at Sean Paul Ellis.
Wonderful. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe you can still find Mr. Matt Barron at Bag of Sandwiches on Twitter. Is that correct?
You sure can.
Awesome. Glad that hasn't never changed. As for me, you can find me on Twitter at Dr. Claw MD. You can also find me over at Collider.com, where I will be full-time just doing TV news, movie news, all kinds of fun stuff. We'll be headed to Comic-Con in a few weeks here, too, so we'll have some updates on that. So that's coming up. Yeah, good old Comic-Con time.
Congratulations on coming back to Collider, man.
Yeah. Definitely enjoying it already. First weekend, it's like I never left. It's great. If you're more interested in Saturday morning cartoons, finding out more about us, you can head on over to SaturdayMorningCartoons.com. Remember, that's morning with a U. You can also follow us on Twitter at MorningTunes. Check out Sean's handiwork at our Tumblr page, SaturdayMorningCartoons.tumblr.com. Feel free to send us suggestions and well wishes and all kinds of fun stuff. SaturdayMorningCartoons at gmail.com. You can subscribe to the podcast each and every week through Stitcher and iTunes. I will apologize to our YouTube subscribers and listeners. We ran into some sort of snafu with our video exporting lately, and I'm having a tough time getting the new videos up, but we're working that out. No thanks to Warner Brothers, who is whacking us with copyright infringement for no apparent reason lately. That's been a lot of fun.
It's been happening a lot.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, they're running bots that are just looking for the
We've been getting a lot of
titles.
emails lately.
Yeah. So in the future, we may not run any more Warner Brothers properties. Just so I don't have to take them down anymore.
Getting a whole bunch of cease and desist emails.
Yeah. It's fun. It's fun.
We're offline. I need to hear about this. This is amazing.
We'll do a mini episode. Everyone can hear about it.
It's super fun.
Including the fun folks over at Warner Brothers.
Thanks, WB.
Yeah, thanks, WB. Listeners out there, if you're feeling bad for us, we would love it if you would rate and review on both Stitcher and iTunes. And if you can find us on YouTube, we would love to get your upvotes and your feedback. Thank you very much to the folks who have already done so. It really does mean a lot to us, and it's great to know that people are actually out there listening to us and either loving it or hating it. I'm fine either way.
You animals are the best.
You animals. Podcast animals. I think that's it for our contact for this week. So Sean.
Dave, I'll throw this out to everybody.
Okay, here we go.
For Tony, Matt, and
That's
Dave,
everybody.
if you guys were a 10-year-old and you could ask one of the ProStars a question, what would 10-year-old you ask?
All right, Matt, you're up first.
Oh, thanks, buddy.
Yeah. You get to be the host. You get to buy time.
Bo Jackson, which would you prefer if you had to play one sport all the time? Would it be baseball or football?
Please ask it like that. I really hope Bo Jackson's listening.
I want him to respond to this.
I would, honestly, I would talk to Mr. Gretzky and ask him for his daughter's number. Sean and I had a little chat. If you haven't heard of or seen Paulina Gretzky, check her out. I don't think you'll be disappointed.
Look that up.
I'm looking that up right now.
Yeah, there you go. Tony, it's all up to you. Bring us home.
He got really creepily close to the mic on that.
He's like, I'm going to look this up right now. Let's
lean
lean in here a little bit. Let's get real close.
That is a cutting jawline.
Oh, boy. Her jawline. Her jawline, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, boy.
My question, if I were going to pose it to these guys, as much as I want to go the daddy route for a question, I would probably say, ProStars, if I want to find a hat that will fit my little head that says ProStars on it, where can I buy one?
I hope that Wayne Gretzky answers your question, because he would just be like, fuck, kid, I just ask you, Dad.
We thought about doing it, and we discussed it, and there's a lot of politics.
There's a lot of politics involved, the hat sizes, and different metrics in Canada.
Look, there were a bunch of people that were involved that should not have been involved.
There were
picking
conversations
the hat
about metric
size
system.
for your head. It's very challenging. Just Michael's in the corner, and he's like, "Well, figuring out the size of your head is very, very easy to do."
What you want to do?
Shut up, Michael.
Take the circumference
Shut
of a
the
cantaloupe.
fuck up, Michael.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Sean, I have a question for you. If ProStars was rebooted, What sports? What sport and what athlete would be featured? Who'd head it up?
Michael Vick.
Oh God.
No.
For what sport though?
For what sport?
Yeah, for what sport?
I mean, he's
football.
He's football.
Well, I was
He
testing
was
Sean,
making
and
a
I was wondering if he
dogfighting
was going to
joke.
go for dogfighting. Yes, thank you, Matt Barron. Well done, bringing it home.
Yeah.
On the next
As
episode
a-
of
as a-
ProStars 2015.
We
As the Virginia Tech graduate in this group, that one hurts.
I would say Tiger Woods. For
Gambling.
the sport of women. For the
No,
Is this woman chasing? Is
that's
that
a good
the,
one.
Is that the
Yeah,
sport?
being a player, that's a good sport.
Calendar upkeep.
Don't hate the player,
and
hate
just
the game.
probably Mayweather, just for just being an all around amazing person.
Yeah.
And I say this fully understanding that I want to shit on him, but I'm scared to death that he'll hear
Yeah.
this and then just show up at my house and kill me.
No,
one
he
day.
listens to the podcast. He's actually funding us, so I'm not worried about Warner Brothers anymore.
Oh, and who was that athlete that was a terrible person?
All of them.
At some point late last year.
Oh, Ray Rice?
Yeah, Ray Rice.
Bo Bice?
Yeah,
Wow.
put him in
I-
there. Put him
I
in
am
there for
impressed-
boxing.
I am impressed at that very minimal amount of information.
I
that
occasionally
Sean
speak
just
Sean.
gave you.
I occasionally
I was gonna say,
channel.
you just-
Somehow
you just-
you sussed out the exact personality of all the horrible
Yeah,
sports
pick
people
a
out
terrible
there.
athlete over the last year. Oh, Ray Rice. Yep, nailed it.
Oh, perfect.
Oh
Well
my
done,
God.
sir. That's impressive.
My God.
Mm.
Yeah, I would. I'd like to see a ProStars, the next generation. Get Maria Sharapova in there, the Williams sisters. Let's make it happen.
Commander Riker.
You lost me on that one, brother.
Oh, that is so
ProStars the
good.
next
Oh,
generation.
the next generation.
Next
Okay, okay.
TNG.
I was like, what the hell sport did he play?
You,
He played that
TNG
3-level
without
chess,
Riker.
you know?
Oh my God! All I know is he sits down on chairs weird. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go check that out on YouTube. Oh my God, we are so far off kilter. Sean, next week on Saturday Morning Cartoons, what do you got for us?
Oh my God! Do you have
I
it?
do. I think it's Mutant Football League, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe you are right.
So-
It is Mutant Football League.
That one, I'm kind of looking forward to that because I remember that one being fucking nuts and just a lot of fun. So I really hope that not even holds up. I just hope it's entertaining.
Well, I'll put it this
Yeah.
way: the premise for this is that everybody dies and becomes a
Yeah.
mutant,
Great
and
start.
we're going to be joined by our favorite mutant next week, Jamal.
Oh
Noon.
God.
And that's the end of the
That's
show.
perfect. Thanks for listening. See you next time.
Da-da-da-da-da-da.